I think that one, maybe a question or observation that Taylor and I have had is that I find skills like almost like seductively easy to create, but then the more complex they get, harder and harder to trust that they're going to be done the same way every time.
Yeah.
And so there's like this balance between, of course, I mean, everybody in AI knows this at this point, but just like deterministic versus probabilistic, and like, where do you want to be on that spectrum? And all right, welcome back to Redacted. I'm your host, David Shaner, and I'm here with my co-host, Taylor Kottner, and Redacted's first guest, Mr. Ben Pope. Me and Steph are having another kid, and I've been like thinking about names. I was like, dude, Ben Pope is a great name. So real quick, Redacted is a show about what it's like to actually integrate AI into a real business in 2026. So you won't hear us talking today about Fable 5 coming back or any sort of AI theory. Most of the time, Redacted is me and Taylor screen sharing everything we built over the last couple of weeks and getting into the good and the bad and the ugly. So if you like listening, keep listening. If you ever wonder what we're talking about, go find us on YouTube and you can see the screen share. But when Taylor and I started this podcast, the show, we were always really, really excited about the idea of having guests on, because I think it's the best way to learn about AI is to just osmosis from other people. And so we had done some outreach, and Ben was kind enough to be a guinea pig as our first guest. Mm-hmm. So Ben, why don't we just introduce you quickly, and I think also just tell us like a little bit about Levitate's value proposition. I think it always just even at a high level helps. Okay, AI is getting integrated into this business, but what does the business do for who? I think that helps people get oriented. But welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Honored to be that first guest, and really enjoyed watching the prior episodes that you guys have already put out, and already have ideas and ways that I'm going to go back and be like, hey, we need to implement automations with our own HubSpot instance. So
wait, you should wait till Taylor actually figures it out.
Please don't spend time doing that.
It's a warning. You've already saved me time, so I won't go down that.
Good.
Yeah, but no, I'm honored to be here. I've been at Levitate for the past 5 years. I started out on the marketing side, and Levitate was founded in 2017. And back when I joined, it was a little bit smaller. I think we were at 6 million in ARR, and we've since grown to about 45, approaching 50 million ARR. And the whole thesis behind Levitate is that there really aren't a whole lot of software that services small businesses, specifically helping small businesses keep in touch with their network to drive referrals and word of mouth business, which tends to be the biggest driver of revenue if you're a small business. And so I can get into the founding story. Jess has told it. Our CEO Jess has told it 1,000 times, but it kind of started with his wife, Brooks Bell, who's kind of known in the area, had a marketing consultancy, and noticed all of her business kind of came through word of mouth. And she would buy this expensive software, and they would kind of drop her off to go figure it out or implement it, or you'd have to hire a consultant or DIY it. And if you're a small business owner, you just don't really have time to do that. And so the Levitate thesis is, hey, can we build the software stack, but then also provide the service to make it work? And so over the past 5 years, that's kind of what we built, servicing, independent insurance agents, any registered investment advisors, attorneys, nonprofits, home services. And it's just been a lot of fun to watch it grow. So that's the core business. And then recently, over the past month, I've kind of shifted my role a little bit away from the marketing side. We just started a AI solutions business unit that's taking that same question of, hey, how can we help these small businesses figure out how to implement AI into their workflows to make them more efficient, kind of improve their own business margins in a way that is accessible without taking up too much of their time or leaving them to figure it out for themselves. And so I've never really done a lot of cold calls or sales demos before, but over the past, month, it's been a whole new world of just talking to people, boots on the grounds, and seeing what these problems are. So a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
How big is Levitate? Just really quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. We are approaching 9,000 customers, again, in the SMB space, so high volume, and then a little over 300 employees.
Cool. So there's 300 people to choose from to start to make this new role, and you're that person. Obviously, you're on the show, so you're that person. But what made you want to do that? We at Offline we talk about GWC a lot, get it, want it, capacity to do it. You obviously have those three things. What makes you excited about that stuff?
Yeah. Well, I think first of all, I'm really curious and always kind of tinkering with the tools, just like you guys are, right? I just want to know how it works. I want to see what it can do. I want to see what it can automate so that I don't have to do it manually anymore. That thing drives me crazier than going through HubSpot and updating little CRM things or going into any software and having to click around in settings. And I just had this instance recently with LinkedIn where we were trying to get a LinkedIn API spun up, and I didn't want to figure out how to do that. I can throw Claude at that. It can go and set it up for me. I think that's a big win. But I think that it was kind of an alignment of, okay, you have that natural curiosity, or I had that natural curiosity. I have the revenue marketing background, so I really understand what drives a marketing funnel to a bookings funnel to actually, closed won MER and revenue. And so have owned a pipeline over the past couple of years and can have those higher level strategic conversations. And then in addition to that, one of my passions is hey, I'm using these tools. I'm finding them effective for me, but I'm noticing that there are other departments in our work that are being left behind. And so, nobody really asked me to. I kind of took it on myself to go talk with people in other departments and say oh my gosh, you guys have to start using this. If you're not, what are you doing? The world has changed. You need to be on this, and here's how to do it. And I would sit down with people and kind of walk them through hey, here's Claude code. Here's how to use it. Here are the types of things that can automate. I actually trained our CRO how to use it. I remember early on, he would ask me, but how could this help me as a CRO with, I'm in meetings all day. How could this possibly be, something that would be advantageous to me and not just another tool to tinker with? And, kind of worked with him a little bit on that. And eventually he kind of got it and was spending, all night up till 2 or 3 a.m. to automate his own stuff. He got the bug, and then it spread like wildfire from there and been a big resource in the org to help other people figure out how to use it as well. So I think that kind of combination of the curiosity and knowing how to use it, the business acumen, and then also just being an internal champion and getting other people up to speed too, which was a little selfish, right? I want the company to grow, and I don't want us to be beat out because only a few of us are using the tools. That's kind of what culminated to make this role possible.
That's awesome. Cool. Yeah, and I mean that's a good segue, I think, because kind of the premise of the podcast is that it's fun to talk about these things, but people like the three of us, we just love to see how people are doing it, right? Just show me the goods, So why don't we jump into that part, and then we can kind of cap off with some more conversation at the end. But I'd love to see just some examples of what you're building or whatever you want to show us, and I'm sure me and Taylor will have a million questions.
Yeah, absolutely. So if I shift, I'm guessing you guys can still see.
Yeah.
Let me move this window down here. So this was one of those crazy early on experiments. I think it was October 2025 that I put this together. And kind of the big question is, hey, everybody has lead forms, but is there a way that you can kind of provide value to somebody who's going to give you information, and can you give them that value up front versus just asking for, hey, fill this lead form? And so kind of went back and forth. This was right around the time that we were really getting up to speed with our website offering. And so we'll actually build websites for small businesses. We'll manage your full business profile. We'll help you do campaigns to generate Google reviews. We'll, if you're a business that's eligible for local service ads, right? We'll help you with that. And so, okay, if somebody's never met us or wants to understand how they rank online, I wanted a tool there they could kind of get a quick scope on, hey, how's my business performing? So, nearby we have a bakery called Union Special, and if we come in here and I used to have it gated, but actually ungated over time. This would talk to the Google Cloud API and actually the Google Maps API to pull a lot of this info, and it would enable us to get, hey, here are these positive reviews that you have, or negative reviews, or kind of show you the overall quantity of reviews, and run some checks both on your website, your Google Business Profile, et cetera. And calculate out, hey, here's how you're performing overall. If you're a little lower in one area, or if you have a bunch of competitors nearby, you could reach out to us and book a strategy call, which is, fine. But the real value of this tool has actually been, this tool was kind of the reason I'm showing it, is because it's kind of the first thing that put me on the map, at least internally in the company, of, hey, I'm this marketer, was able to spin up a web app that works off of a server and can drive leads with, I took a couple of computer science classes, but I'm not really that sharp with it. I think I had an assembly class that broke me. And yet, here I am able to deploy a full web page by myself, host it in GitHub, run it on Vercel, have a Neon, back-end database to store everything. And, as a marketer, every time somebody looks for or puts in a business to kind of see how they're doing, right? I think you guys were showing, how you've consolidated some of the offline form flows. We don't really have to ask for that much information anymore. If somebody searches for their business, it's pretty easy to say, like, oh, here may be some of the people at that business that could have been searching for it, and we can enhance and get a lot of that information that way. And so
you're talking about when somebody puts in Union Special bread into that form, you go get a bunch of other information and have now even more information about a lead, because why would anybody else search for Union Special?
Exactly. It's probably someone who cares about Union Special's online presence.
Yeah. Got it.
So I was testing it a little bit earlier. I actually have this, the IP I'm at now blocked, because I didn't want our internal sales team will use this a lot, and I didn't want their up. But you can see, it'll pop up here, and then I can know, hey, I should probably reach out to Union Special and see if that's something that they're interested in.
And all right, really just side question: you used what to build this? These tools, but Claude, Codex, what were you using in?
Yeah.
Before pre-November 2025. Just curious.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It was literally Claude. I mean, I would go do simple online health form, and this was my little repo that I had, and I'd run Claude. And these days I use the agent view. This didn't exist back then.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is kind of built out that way. And because our website is on Webflow, this was before there was a good Webflow MCP. And so I would literally, for the front end, have it write the code to a folder and then come in and drop it in a code block in here. And then I would have to, take a screenshot, drop it back into Claude and Claude code and work back and forth with it to get it right. And I would have, okay, now that I have this, how do I actually make the API calls and business logic work on the back end? And it was oh, you can use Vercel. And we, had a company Vercel, but I think that most of this just runs off of my personal one, which I've probably changed. They give you a lot of free on the hobby side, right? So that now I can host the business logic too. That's calling the Google Cloud APIs and getting the maps data and stuff like that over. Vercel also, doesn't come baked in with a database, but they offer a lot of options for it. So I know different people have different preferences for that. Most of our business is actually based off of AWS, but I just saw Neon. I'm I don't know anything about anything. I'm just a marketer, so I guess I'll just try that one. And it's worked out pretty well for us. Even as a non-developer, I can take this data and manipulate it and generate reporting off of it, or generate workflows to send this over to our new team to dial. So
what were some of the hardest parts about this? Walk me and Taylor through, I guess maybe how, what were some of the hardest parts about this? Walk me and Taylor through, I guess maybe how, 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 I guess maybe how there's a structure of this. There's a bunch of tools behind it. There's also kind of a user journey. There's a process that has to happen to say, okay, we're gonna punch in an address, then a bunch of stuff is gonna happen, and that stuff includes getting an accurate score and making that repeatable and testing that and having the score make sense and not having stuff break and hosting it somewhere. Like, how did you clear all those hurdles, and like, what did you learn there?
It's an interesting question. I know that the way to vibe code stuff or agentically engineer stuff has kind of changed over time, where people will sometimes write giant spec documents and refine them and go over them a bunch and deploy them that way. For me, it was really just trial and error. This was one of the first large public-facing apps that I built, and I would just kind of talk to Claude about it. Claude was smart enough. I don't even remember what Opus version I was on at the time, but I could say, hey, I want something that is going to give value to people. Here's the services that we offer. If we could go ahead and pull data from Google Maps, and actually the experience that I had earlier in my marketing career on the email side, one of the ways that we would get emails to kind of break through the noise and have each email be unique is we would scrape Google reviews. There's a service called, maybe I can pull it up for y'all, called Outscriptal. And I can pull Google reviews at scale. And so then I can send an email that says, hey, I love this Google review that Taylor wrote about your business, and that'll kind of warm people up. So I know that data exists. I know that I can programmatically pull it from Google Cloud. And I'm like, okay, here's this rough idea that I just have from my own business experience of the types of data that I can access. Now, how do I put it together in a way that is presentable? Luckily, I was able to just, we already had our marketing site, so I can take pictures and say, it fit this brand and theme. And, Claude is pretty good at taking an example and expanding upon it. And then any hurdle that I would have, it was pretty good at resolving. I would say that there really hasn't been any major downtime. Now, this hasn't been like mission critical enough. Like, it's just kind of an interesting tool that will drive some volume. But, it just kind of works and runs in the background these days. I honestly haven't opened it up in months or thought about it for months before on this podcast, because it just works, and I'm on a different thing.
When you put in union special, can you go back to that for a second? Okay, so levitate.ai/get my score, and then when you type something in, where does that take you?
Yeah, so there's a Google Cloud API that's called autocomplete, Google Maps API, or I think it's called Google Places now.
Yeah,
that's popping up here. Is that API call.
Right. And then when you click that, this is still Webflow, and then it's just getting API data inserted into it. Correct. Is that right? Okay.
Just runs like JavaScript or something that populates all of this. Honestly, I don't really know how it works on the back end. I could go ask Claude. And if I ever, if my engineer were to come up and say, oh, like, you need to understand what's going on in the back end, then I could just pull up my Claude and be like,
right.
Or you could tell them, hey, ask it. You would be better at asking questions than me. Like, ask it what you need.
Don't make me a fleshy interpreter between these two agents. Just go straight to the agent. Yeah. So Offline's consumer marketing site is on Webflow, and me and Taylor have been debating whether we should blow it away and like hand roll something. And now I'm like, okay, well, maybe not. Like,
well, I don't know. I honestly would never go back to Webflow again. We this marketing campaign, Say Goodbye to DIY. And this whole thing is built not on Webflow, just raw. And the value of this is that anybody can go to the GitHub repo that we have for them, right? And make edits. And all they need is Claude. They don't really need, any skills in addition to that. Like, all this, it's kind of funny, just like the shift. All these like little buttons and settings and things, like, they just give this
a lot
and learning curve. And especially, I actually have a design background, so I can tell you what a kerning or letting is, or what these little things do. But for if I'm hiring somebody, explaining the difference between a flex and a block display layout. You know, it's you don't have to do it anymore. And so able to just go in, oh, here's the GitHub repo, download it, tell Claude like, hey, I don't like this quote wall, right? Just picture in, and it'll just update it and keep it running for you, which is crazy. So we're in the process now of actually migrating our website off of Webflow over into just I think AWS hosted instead of a site.
Because the team can just manage it now. It doesn't need like an ops team or whatever to keep it going, especially for non-mission critical stuff, right? Like I'm sure you have things that your like company uses, you know, maybe beyond CRMs, like custom databases and stuff like that, that you won't mess with, but for these kinds of things. And so as like I'm trying to like figure out the role that you're in now. It's because you're away from the marketing and this type of work. Are you just trying to go to different departments at Levitate and say, check this out, like, let me inspire you? Or like, what is the role that you're trying to drive people to change their behaviors at Levitate?
Here we go.
Yeah, well, these days, I don't really meet with people internally anymore. I think that, you know, we do have a couple internal things that have popped up. Like we have a, let's see if I can find it here, Claude Club. Wishing that we had Fable back. Like tips and stuff.
Right.
You know, internally in my own team, before I kind of made the switch, I would also run hackathons. I don't know where they went.
Nice.
With my own team to say, hey, like, I need to make sure that all of you guys are as fluent with these tools too. And the only way to really get good at it is to, you know, see what's possible, right? The more context you can give people, the more they can connect the dots and generate stuff.
Yeah, got it. Okay.
Yeah, these days, you know, I'm actually just working with people in the market. You know, I was working with an attorney recently based in Los Angeles. He's a family law attorney, and he's wanting to have it where a lead can come in on his website, like get kind of auto-categorized into the type of case that it might be. There are these court documents that are in a PDF format with fillable forms. And, you know, it used to be an assistant would have to go in and like manually type out all that data. They'd have to like transfer it and put it into this PDF format, which was super obnoxious. But now, you know, I can set them up with Claude desktop app and, you know, just make that workflow kind of work for them through the skills that we have. And so, yeah, that's kind of the role now.
And where is this this business unit at Levitate? Like, where are you in your life cycle? Are you guys still in kind of product market fit? Are you starting to scale? And then how are you trying to now apply AI to applying AI?
Yeah, definitely. We, I think there is product market fit because we already have a couple of pilot customers that have gotten a lot of value out of it. And currently we are trying to figure out the sales process. More so it's a knock on me just because I haven't been a salesperson before. And we're trying to see, okay, how do we figure out the demo flow? We can book people because we have a really great distribution engine.
Yes.
How do we set up the demo flow so that we can, you know, one, understand where the pain points in the business are, because each one is a little bit different. Figure out what their tech stack is, figure out if we can build them the thing that, you know, is going to save them time, and then figure out how to package it and price it for them in a way that, you know, doesn't take 3 meetings. I think the first, you know, 13 meetings or so that I did, I would have, okay, an intro call, we'll just chat. I'll just hear, you know, what's, you know, a pain in your butt, ask you about your tech stack. I'll kind of go back, have some ideas. The second meeting, I would ask people to kind of go through their workflows live, like if they're literally, you know, typing in data over here. Then I would come back after that. But I think that's just a little bit too long and we need to kind of shorten that sales cycle. So that's kind of the stage that we're at. But we have the booking volume, and, you know, these days my calendar is filled up all day with, you know,
I saw that when you switched over there. I was like, oh, this reminds me of early offline days where it's just 15-minute calls with restaurant owners back to back all day long. Yeah, so we just did an episode yesterday because Taylor went on vacation for 2 weeks, and we've been catching back up, and like we have backlog. We're always trying to stay on the front foot with episodes in the backlog, but we've just started this, I guess. How do you apply AI to applying AI? Yeah. Or like how do you put a process around applying AI inside of your company? Because like I'm starting to now feel like there's a pattern.
Yeah.
And for the last maybe 9 months, it felt I couldn't quite see the pattern. I could like feel it, but it didn't click for me. Yeah. But on the last episode, we broke down like the distinctive stages that we're looking at it through at offline. And one of the things that I'm curious about, and maybe we can connect on this or do a follow-up, but with one of the businesses that I'm working on right now, we are acting as consultants for AI in the real estate vertical. And what I started doing is just building Claude skills that would then interview those people and get all the information that I need out of them, so that then I could have it without spending the 45 painstaking minutes like walking through their workflows.
Yeah.
So like my sense is that that's just the tip of an iceberg around like how do you build infrastructure around applying this stuff for businesses, because there is going to be a pattern, and how do you balance the human relationship, but also the efficiency. I know Levitate's had to get really good at that over the years, just by the nature of the market that you're in.
Yeah, it's a good question, and I think that I'm definitely gonna be interested in learning more or seeing how you have that kind of interview set up.
Yeah.
I think that we probably, just given the way that we run our go-to-market motion in the past, won't really ever get rid of those discovery calls. But I will say that, I would be crushed without, my little morning briefings that I'm able to put together, where I can, have it go look at my calendar, go online, search the business, look at their website, look at their LinkedIn. It can also look at past projects that I've done. And then every meeting that I have, we record, right? And I will then take all of those transcripts, which are just like markdown files in a folder these days, and it has all that context. I have in that same AI solutions folder just all the broader context about this motion, and can use that to generate, hey, one, here's the briefing for your day. And then two, if I need to say, hey, generate me a sales proposal, right? I built a skill for that, and it'll kind of spin up a PDF. It'll draft the email back to them. Hey, enjoyed our meeting. Here's what we talked about. Here's the goals. Here's the next steps that we'll send out. And
do you want to show any of that?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. One of my favorite things recently, it's kind of funky here because I have to move my screen around, and then I can't.
Yeah.
This
and
one,
then real fast, is this a skill that you run every morning? Is it on a cron? Is it like how do you trigger it? Do you just open up Claude and hit / morning briefing or what?
Yeah. These days I'll kind of run it manually. I have played around with using Claude desktop app because I'm interested in. Let's see if it'll pull up here.
The routines.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I have my own little boot up. I mean, I kind of feel like this is probably if you're like a Claude code junkie, everybody probably has some kind of thing, but I've been debating moving it over to routines too. I haven't quite pulled the trigger on it yet. But.
The only difference here, and I've done a couple things. I mean, I haven't, I probably would get in trouble with my own company, but I have my own, desktop at home that I've used kind of SSH into and run consistently. The biggest issue here is, I don't know if I can like show my little laptop that I have and everybody else has, and when I close it, right? So one of the advantages here is, hey, can I just run it, via a cron without having to have my laptop open? And it does a pretty good job. I don't know. I haven't been comfortable with it yet, for some reason. It's probably more on me for not with it.
I don't know. I agree with you. I don't know what that discomfort is, but I think for me, it's just the knowledge that like, I don't actually run that skill every morning. I probably run it like 3 out of 5. And there's something that still like annoys me about thinking about agents just running around and doing useless stuff with my tokens when I like know I don't need it, even though it'd be a tiny bit more efficient. But okay, sorry to derail. So you run this skill and it, what's the process it runs through? It like looks at meetings.
Yeah, and I'll just say like, here's an example, run the meeting prep skill, so I'm ready for my day, and it'll go through and check every piece of information that I have. I think one thing that has been really helpful for me is it's small enough still where I can keep most of my information on files and markdown files, and so I have the information that I have about somebody, like that person. I can generate a README that kind of stays updated about that person, what the latest status is, and what we talk about. I can have the transcript, but then also the notes that are appended to the transcript. And so it's really easy for it to pull in that context and data. Now we do have, HubSpot, which I can, also access that data in, especially more on the deal side. It can be a little bit helpful, pulling like historic deal notes. And I can get, hey, we've met with this person 3 times before. And sometimes I can go ahead and grab their tech stack from that. Or, if somebody's really quirky in some way, sometimes a salesperson will put that piece of information in there. But then all of that kind of just gets pulled into, Claude here. And so, here we have, okay, here's my meeting at 10 a.m. with you guys. Here's a little bit of information. I haven't actually read this yet because I've been in meetings.
Did I see that it generated like a little like nice HTML page, or like are you in this Claude Code terminal thing and just like scrolling back up to it, or being like, please tell me, please less words, Claude, just TLDR.
I love making stuff in HTML docs because it's like, I don't know, honestly, if I have to stare at this all day,
it's accessible, right? Like it like,
you
want your stuff to look nice.
Exactly. I was trying to find it. I don't know where it just went. I can ask it to open it again.
There it is.
Yeah. And this one's ugly. Sometimes I'll have a specific format.
Yeah, there we go. I see.
Okay.
Yeah.
What my which ones I want to show. It's a little bit lighter too. I'll have depending on different ones. I actually just made a post demo skill that I can run after a meeting, grab all the transcripts. It'll draft the follow-up email if there's a proposal I got to send, automate that, update the HubSpot notes. And it's all just running off of skills. I think you guys have talked about N8N a lot, and I'm sure you've used like HubSpot workflows and automations before, but I've just never, I don't know. I hate those kinds of processes where these like long UI back end things, because they inevitably break, and then you have to go in and tinker with them and figure out where in the workflow it broke. Versus with like a Claude skill, you can just say, hey, this broke, here's the situation, debug it, and go and fix it for me.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that one, maybe a question or observation that Taylor and I have had is that I find skills like almost like seductively easy to create, but then the more complex they get, harder and harder to trust that they're going to be done the same way every time. And so there's like this balance between, of course, everybody in AI knows this at this point, but just like deterministic versus probabilistic, and like, where do you want to be on that spectrum? And what I find myself doing more and more now, or forcing myself to do, is mapping the process that the skill should follow really meticulously first before I add all the like skill stuff. Like these are the steps, and I want to see those steps in like a table, so that it's sort of like some intermediate between, hey, generate me a full HTML view of this skill, and me going in and reading every line of the skill. For me, that intermediate is literally a table that's like, here are all the steps, here's what happens, and here's the context that needs to get access to be able to perform it. So I can audit it that's like, to me, that's like the level I want to manage my AI at. But I found over the last year that I've probably made 100 skills that I no longer use anymore, because at some point I was like, oh my gosh, I need this skill. This skill would be great. And then, you know what? Like the 5th time I ran it, it broke, and I don't even remember what it was supposed to do. And and so I'm out, right? But I agree with you, and this is what we talked about with HubSpot, where like we had the whole thing in N8N, and we ripped it out of N8N because we wanted to be able to tell Claude, fix it, you know, without spending 1 million tokens downloading the workflow and all the run data and all that. So I don't know, maybe have you like encountered much of that for yourself?
Yeah, definitely have. You know, one of the downsides of AI is any dumb idea that I've ever had, I can now do very easily. And so I have way more dumb ideas than I used to. And I try to now add more thinking partner stuff before I actually get started on them. But I was going to say, I mean, if you're sitting there with skill bloat, you can also just ask Claude to look at what skills you've been running and which ones you've used, and help you decide, like, hey, do we need to clear them out or not? And using that way to also like maintain their cleanliness over time, or maybe there's the opportunity to combine them, or whatever it is good.
Yeah, you could even make a skill for cleaning your skills.
Yeah, exactly. Like you can do whatever now. To your point about like when do you run something, I'll pull up on my screen here, programmatically versus via an LLM. Like we have a standard scorecard that has to go out every week. And here are our KPIs, and I don't want AI to have anything to do with this. But I have it in my Claude where I can say, okay, go generate the SMT slide for this week, and it'll just trigger a Python script that goes and talks to Redshift or talks to HubSpot, pulls the data, and just populates it with this template. I didn't make this template. I just said, hey, here's the template, and it helped me generate, okay, here are these like placeholder values. But when it really can't be something that is possible to hallucinate, like you kind of have to do it this way. Same thing for like our sales proposals, for example. I don't want it to just come up with crazy stuff, so I can have it generate the template once it's in a place where I'm happy. Okay, now we can run the programmatic side to that. And so, if I can run stuff programmatically, I always will first, and then layer in the LLM as little as possible. But it's an interesting game finding that balance.
Yeah, and especially now that you're doing it on behalf of clients, right? Like going through that, like what the heuristic is for a client of like, oh, this should be deterministic, this should be a skill, this should be a dashboard. Do you find anything solidifying for you there yet? Or is it still case by case, like just feeling it out based on your experience?
Yeah, if I'm working with a client, one of the really beneficial things about having Levitate on the back end is Levitate's kind of, I talk about it like it's the central nervous system, where there's all this business logic and code that already exists. So a common issue that people have is if you're a solopreneur or whatever, you've probably changed your brand name a couple of times. You probably have your personal email and your work email that you use equally, and it's all kind of blended together. And so we can take all of that data and connect it in Levitate, versus in Claude, you can only really do one Gmail at a time. And tasks like that allow us to run those programmatic pieces on the back end. So if there is a workflow that should be programmatic, it deals with financial data, if it deals with sensitive PII or whatever it is, we can run the routines on our software's backend and then deliver it to Claude via our Claude MCP or Start MCP server, so that they can kind of get the best of both worlds.
I see. So the AI solutions division is almost like a forward deployed engineer for Levitate's product roadmap in a way. Like the things that you uncover, if you find commonality, not only can you monetize this service, but over time you can fold it into Levitate's core product. Right?
That meeting agent, for example, now we can deliver that to all of our customers.
Yeah, that's super clever. I love that. Okay, cool. Taylor, do you have any other questions, or Ben, do you have anything else you want to show? We're at about 35, 40 minutes here of runtime.
No, I don't. This is cool. I appreciate you hopping on and doing this. And yeah, where can people find you? or if you want them to find you. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, absolutely. If you go to levitatesolutions.a, I'll bring it up again. I did generate that little contact form where you can come and find me. You can also find me on LinkedIn, just Ben Pope, Levitate. Feel free to reach out to me anytime around that. I think if you're local, I'm always also down to just get a coffee and bring my laptop and just kind of nerd out about it, because I think it's fun when I'm able to find other people who are really passionate about this and really know their stuff.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I mean, we would love to do that, Ben. I mean, I totally agree. I think it's very fun when you can basically co-work with people that are in the same bizarre headspace that we're in all day.
And I know we're kind of running up on time, but I would just say big shout out to this guy. I don't know if y'all follow him or the Pelican Fest. Simon Willison. He runs this little web blog. Loves pelicans. Always has putting these out. But his agentic engineering patterns has been extremely helpful, like test-driven development. And you were talking about, hey, how do you make sure that Claude is doing what it says it's doing? He has, kind of explanations for that. And so anybody watching this podcast or, trying to learn how to make the jump from vibe coding to agentic engineering, I would highly, highly recommend this guide here. I have everybody on my team read it. Maybe you can link in your show notes.
I'll add all your Levitate solutions and this to the show notes for people that want to check it out. But what's interesting is like that page that Simon has is basically like, hey, how do you become an engineer?
Yeah.
Like that's what that is. And it's like, well, you can do it now, right? Because like the like very, very, very challenging parts that, again, there's a scale of this, right? But if you learn some of the patterns, you can learn to control the AI a little bit more instead of having to learn 5 years of a language, right? Or frameworks and everything. Like it can kind of help you do that. And you are now the person just kind of driving the small engineering team before, but you need to know these patterns so you can drive the engineering team at least a little bit. So that's a great call out.
Yeah, I love that resource. And now I add tests to all of the things that I build to make sure that it works. And if it's mission critical, all the tests have to pass. And
cool.
It's fun stuff.
Yeah, Ben. So what we do with show notes now is we have a GitHub repo for each episode. And like, if there's any, what I've been doing, and this is totally up to you, and we could even cut this out if you don't want to debate it here. But what I've been doing is actually like sanitizing some of my skills from anything sensitive and then throwing them in the repo. So if anybody watches and they're like, oh my gosh, I want to do a morning boot up ritual just like Ben, like they can just run a version of that skill file. So anything like links we'll put in there, anything like skill related, if you want to share, we can put in there. And then, we really, really, really appreciate you coming on and showing what you've been up to.
Yeah, it's been fun chatting with you. I want to, learn more and talk with you all more about what you've been building as well. But happy to share a couple of skills like that morning briefing. And it's been a whole lot of fun. Thanks for having me on.
All right, Ben. Taylor, have a good one.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
All right, Ben, stay.
All right. Yeah, Ben, stay.